Hi, computer guys. Can you hear me?
Oh, he started at once.
Can you hear
Loud and
me?
clear. Yes.
Yes, sir. And mute yourself, please. Okay. So now I'm gonna introduce myself. My name is Amir Chaudhary, and she's my colleague, Amna Rafiq. Can you
Hi
please introduce
everyone.
yourself?
Hi everyone.
Hey
I'm
there.
Amna. I'm a lawyer.
Please turn off your video. Can you please turn off your video? Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so basically I'm a real estate lawyer. We practice a lot of real estate, corporate commercial. We do a lot of private deals, like, second mortgages, sometimes third, fourth mortgages. So much, business going on. I've been doing this for almost 4 years now as a sole practitioner. Before that, I was working at a Ministry of Youth and Children, and I also worked with, Crown offices, so with prosecutors and other people. But now I'm, strictly I practice real estate. Um, so I've been doing this for a long time now. We have Priya here also. Priya is an expert law clerk. She's been doing this for like 17 years. And we thought of this idea because when I started out, I really needed help um, to close my deals. So, and there was nobody there because everybody's so, busy, and when you are a new lawyer, you can't afford all these things. So I used to, outsource my work to different conveyancers, but it's hard. So I always advise people, yeah, it's always advisable that you learn yourself initially, and then obviously when you get busy, you need help. You cannot do it all by yourself. So Priya will be available, and I will also be available. We'll teach you how to close deals like purchase deals, sales, mortgages, private deals, all those things. And then Priya,
Builder deals.
builder deals. We do a lot of builder deals too. Condominium, that's different. Also condos and all those things.
How to do corporate
No, no.
within a residential.
Yeah, we'll
Okay.
speak to each
You
other
are.
later.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
Yeah. First, you let.
and she's in my office right now, and then obviously we're going to rotate this laptop around. So this is a plan. So we really would like to invite all of you to join in this program. It's going to be like helping each other. Like we'll help you, we'll teach you, and then obviously we are going to expand this so that more people will come in and join us, and they will learn more, and it will be very, very helpful because this is something which I've never seen before. This is like very new, and I think we'll be pioneers because I don't see any school where they teach it. Because when I went to law school, they told me, okay, there are contracts, this is a purchase agreement, this is this, but they didn't teach us how to close a transaction, how to register a transaction, how to really do requisitions, how to read a parcel page. I have a parcel page here. How to like DRA these like documents. These are is so important. Like this is a simple parcel page I'm going to show you, which obviously Priya is going to teach us how to do searches. But this is a simple parcel page, and a lot of people I know that you're reading real estate, but I don't think you have ever seen this before, and I didn't. This was the first I saw it first time when I did my first closing, and there's so many things to learn about these things, like little minor things, how to do searches properly, and if you make a mistake, uh, you're gone. The whole file is like, you can't send requisitions. Yeah, so it's a big liability issue. So these things we are going to keep those things in mind, and from like scratch, we'll show you how to do it. So if you have any questions, you can always take my number from Amir, and we can speak to each other on the weekends. However, Priya is here, so she's going to start over now, and she's going to take actually, and she's going to teach you how we are going to do and how we are going to plan about it. Okay, so here you go, Priya.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hi everyone.
Hey there.
Hi there. So what I'm going to teach you, or actually give you more of a tutorial, is, for example, how to start a residential / commercial file transaction. And the key 3 programs will be PC Law, Conveyancer / Unity, and TerraView. On PC law, the first thing that you need to learn is you must know how to do a conflict search. Because if you are representing way too many parties in a transaction, obviously there's a conflict of interest. Or let's say down the road, 3 years from now, you do a transaction and then you have one of the family members comes back and says, well, I want to act, I want you to help me do this real estate transaction. You need to do a PC law search. That way there's no conflict. If you're in a conflict, obviously you'll be reprimanded by the Law Society. And that's one of the key things that you do not want to be is reprimanded, because once the Law Society comes in, they will reprimand you and you will get a hefty fine. Those things are not fun, particularly when you have to go through audits and spot audits. You must have your file basically perfect. That way you can avoid yourself a lawsuit and open to liability, have a claim with title insurance, and then of course Law Pro, they would get involved. So what I was saying is once you open up a file, you need to prep it up. And how you prep it up is you're going to have it in a file. And I say that because you're going to have a purchase, you're going to have a sale, and you're going to have a mortgage. I like to keep things separate because I'm extremely organized, and I've come to, this profession has taught me how to be super organized, whether I like it or not. And I go through my own checklist. Let me show you what checklist I have. So
You can take this chair outside.
let's suppose you have a sale transaction. I like to say, okay, all my sale transactions are going to be green. Why? Why do I say green? Because I'm receiving money. So green is the money. So for a sale file, I want green. For a purchase file, I'm giving money, which I hate to do that. You can choose your own color, from pink, red, blue, you name it. I don't care. For sale, I'm very particular. It should be green because, again, you're receiving money. And it's good money and it's fast money, and you earn a lot of money on a sale because they're easy, they're fast. As long as you can maintain yourself that way. You can have a lot of, put yourself in predicaments where you don't need to. But that's the whole purpose of doing this tutorial. And if you follow my checklist, I don't care what anybody says, everybody needs their own checklist on a purchase, on a sale, and a mortgage, because the checklist will allow you to say, hey, let's go through a checklist on a purchase file. This right here, my checklist, in which you will get. And this is worth $1 million, believe it or not, because we're talking about many years of experience that I've basically put into a whole system. So I have your purchase file. So the first thing we're going to do is, did you do a conflict search? Yes. Check through PC law. We did a conflict search. Is this transaction, where's going to be the keys? Is it going to be in a lockbox? Because of COVID-19 now, they're trying to avoid any kind of contact with keys and providing documentation. So we're going to have all the keys in a lockbox. On the day of registration, you give the money, you register, the other opposing counsel gives you a lockbox number. You're going to give that to your client. Hey, congratulations. We finished your transaction. Here's the lockbox code. I'll provide you with my report on closing within 30 days, or perhaps how I like to do it with my system, you will report within the same day of closing.
Oh, wow.
And why I like to say that is because you want to continue having the same people come to you. You don't want to lose that business. You don't want to say, hey, I have you today, but I don't have you tomorrow. You want to be able to maintain your clients and say, okay, how do I entice a client? How do I keep them happy? A, you report to them on the same day of closing. That's good customer service, and that's what you want. You want people to come back, because people are going to come back. So let's say you purchase today, they're going to have to refinance within 5 or 10 years from now, and you don't want them to go anywhere else. You want them to come back to you. So going back to my checklist, you would have to go say, okay, we have to get the prescribed Section 5 of the land transfer tax. Did you get the number? Now, this prescribed land transfer tax 5.01 is not essentially applies if you're outside of the horseshoe area. You don't have to get it if it's outside of the horseshoe real estate area on the valley, and I'll show you that later on. And it also applies to vacant land. So if you have a transaction where it's vacant land, you don't need to get a prescribed Section 5.01. That's that. And then I have here, was the agreement reviewed? Most importantly was the agreement reviewed, because you guys very well know that if you don't have all signatures executed by both parties of purchase and sales, you don't have a legal and binding contract. Yeah. So you must make sure you go through the agreement and say, okay, do I have signatures for both parties? Have all conditions been met? What are the conditions? The conditions you have is inspection, financing, and status certificate if it comes through a condo. So you need to have all those conditions either waived or completed. Once you have that, then you can open up your file and say, okay, in this particular instance is a purchase. Let's go through the agreement, which I have one here. Here's an agreement on purchase and sale and what it looks like. The first thing I look at is, who am I representing? Am I representing the purchaser or the seller? If it's a purchaser, yeah, pink file. If it's a seller, my famous green file. So in this particular case, we are representing the buyer. So we have Amina Wali and Jay Ong. Okay, wonderful. The property address, how much did it, what's the purchase price, the deposit, what's the closing date? April 30th, which gives me enough time to get all the conditions waived. So I'm going to open up a file, but keep it on the pending because it's not fully completed. Why? Because we have conditions for inspections, financing, status certificate in a condo, and I'm going to look at and read it, where the chattel's included. What's the rental? Is there a water heater? Is it an AC that has to go through Reliance, where we have to get postponements, or we have to get agreement or discharges? Oh, and the most perfect one is, what I like to know is number 8 is the title search. The title search, in this particular case, it's April 15th, which should be actually earlier than that, because if the closing is April 30th, you should have at least 3 weeks to do title search. So right away, this doesn't mean that not all real estate agents know what they're doing, but that's fine. The 15th of April doesn't mean you have to have it done by April 15th. It just means that you have up to that date to submit your requisitions. So what are requisitions? Requisition is that you contact opposing counsel, which would be the vendor solicitor, and you request for all these things on title to be removed. So Amna showed you a title search that looked like this. This is the title search. And obviously we'll teach you how to do a title search on Terra Connect, or I would like Conveyancer.
Yeah.
And the reason why I like Conveyancer is because I like to have everything on TC Twin. I like to have a black and white paper, and I also like to have it on my computer, just in case that if you're, for some reason, that if a file gets stolen, you would have it on your PC law, or you would have it on your computer. So looking at this title search, oh, we have a part of a lot. So we have our PIN, that's the PIN, and here's your legal description, okay? Now, when you read a legal description and it says a lot, it means a whole of a lot. It means the whole lot. It could be 60 by 100, which that's standard, or it could be 75 by 200. Whatever the lot is, it's a whole of a lot. And what it means when you do a search is you just search on that lot. Now, on this particular case, we have part of a lot. And what does a part of a lot mean? It means that a whole lot has been cut in half. So you need to do your searches in order to comply with the Planning Act. So you need to do searches all around the whole part of a lot so you don't have adjoining lands. And the good thing, guys, is that a normal lawyer would spend a lot of money in searching and getting all those searches all around and spending about $400 to $500 just on searches to search all around that part of a lot. Meanwhile, I will show you how to do it for free. A lot of people look at me and they say, you don't know. But once I show them on how to get it for free, they say, wow, that's actually a very tricky way, and it's called experience. Learned it way too many
Computer
times.
guys, do not share the screen, please. If you're gonna share the screen, so I'm gonna delete you guys, okay?
Who's sharing screen?
So do not share the screen, please. I know who is sharing the screen. Saad bhai, just delete him. Anyone gonna sharing the screen, just delete him, okay, or her. Please go ahead.
Why would they be sharing the screen?
Two people
Oh,
sitting.
two people are sitting.
won't
Don't
know.
be worried.
Oh,
Per
Yeah,
person.
yeah, go
fair
ahead.
enough. Okay, so like I was saying, you have part of a lot. There's a trick in doing all your searches on a part of a lot that does not require any money involved. You just need a brain, which luckily you have now. So I'm looking at this parcel abstract and say, okay, these are the parties, the vendors. And I'm looking at it and say, okay, what are the deficiencies that I must requisition for the other lawyer to fix? And you're going to see on the thumbnail description, which is here, this is your thumbnail description. And it could say, well, subject to rights that have been expired within 5 days, or the bylaws that the subdivision has not been assumed by the municipality. I can teach you with the city of Brampton on how to get the bylaws and how everything has been completed if the city of Brampton has assumed the subdivision. And you can request to the other lawyers on your requisition and say, hey, city of Brampton has assumed the subdivision, do an application general to delete the subject to a right for the builder to get into the property. You would do that by way of an application general. Also, every time you go through a title search, you want to know what's happening exactly on the parcel abstract. So what I like to do is, when you do a search, you have to get all deleted all the deleted instruments, because you want to make sure that all those deleted instruments, particularly on discharges of charge, they coincide with the actual mortgage or the actual charge. Because I've seen way too many times where parties have discharged a mortgage, but they never put the remarks, and actually that mortgage was not supposed to be discharged. It was never paid off. But for some reason, either the LRO deleted it, or either some other lawyer went ahead.
Land registry office.
Land registry offices, they do that. And believe it or not, many people did not have mortgages.
Ask them everything is clear.
Sorry about that. Is everything clear, guys?
Everything is clear?
They're muted.
Okay, no problem. Yeah. Okay, go ahead. Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Yes, please. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Go ahead.
Perfect. Okay, so here we have bylaws. So there's bylaws on this particular part of a lot. So I'm assuming if it's a part of a lot, it's got to be a semi-detached house, which you're going to need that on your prescribed form. Plan references, perfect. Transfer charge has been deleted. Okay, here we have a charge. you have an LT, if you have a charge, and that's the instrument, and that's the instrument number. What you guys must do
No, you have to. Okay, yeah.
is say, okay, so 3.9, make sure you find the discharge of charge and coincides, which we have here, discharge of charge. In the remarks, it says it's marking. So this is a legitimate discharge of charge because I see on the remarks, the instrument number LT609389, it coincides with your regular charge of 2001. Perfect. We move on and say, okay, there's a transfer from the vendors. They bought the house in 2008 from Rattray. And they put a mortgage with RBC, which was later on discharged, which it coincides here on the remark, so that's a legitimate discharge. Then we have a notice of the airport zoning, and that's got to do with the air on top where the airplanes come through. They would have to have that, so they can do that. So her master sheet, and then we have a mortgage. Here's the charge. So these people have a mortgage with RBC, registered in 2011 for the registered amount of $239,000. So that's what we got to requisition. We need to requisition this mortgage that must come off title on closing, meaning that it's not going to get registered on closing, but what you're going to request is a discharge statement from the other solicitor and his undertaking to discharge this mortgage after the closing date. And then you're going to follow up on your discharges within, say, 30 to 60 days or 120 days, which is 3 months. Once the other solicitor has the registered discharge, because he paid off this mortgage, then he's going to send you a letter say, hey, I complied with my solicitor's undertaking that this mortgage is paid off and we're all good. After then, you can put that that file on storage. Step 1, actually. Okay, so now we went through the searches. Going back to my famous checklist that I love. I can't do nothing without this checklist because there's so many things involved in a real estate transaction. You need a checklist, and I don't care what anybody says. I'm right. So now that we got the agreement reviewed, it says here property search. Did you verify it? And that's when I say about the discharges and going through, making sure that this mortgage was discharged accordingly and it wasn't done by the LRO. And here it says title search, done. That's the title search that we just did. Then we're going to do, did you guys do the execution? So not only do you have to search the property, you have to search in the name here of the vendors, meaning if they have any executions. Let's say if there is an execution, do they owe money to an unsecured creditor? It could be CIBC, it could be a credit card or MasterCard, because they don't have any, because these MasterCards is not secured, like a secure line of credit, it's unsecured credit. And what it means is that if you don't pay your Visa, they filed you with a statement of claim and you're in default judgment, followed by an execution, which it doesn't run by the doesn't run with the land, but it runs with the name that is subject to that, to this property. So, if there was an execution on the vendors, and obviously you would do that for your clients, you would requisition that with the other lawyers. Now, what I wanted to say was, you have to know what, when you do a requisition, and when you search executions, for example, you have clients that you could have Singh. And Singh is a very common name, and for example, in the Indian culture. So A lot of people do not want to put their middle name Singh, although it means a male, or Kaur for female, because your clients are going to have a lot of executions, believe it or not. Even for Vietnamese individuals, the last name Nguyen has a lot of executions, particularly with CMHC. They've owned a lot of money. So if you have executions that are higher than $50,000, you have to get a clearance letter. If it's below $50,000, you don't. If it does not pertain to your client, you can do a one and the same affidavit. It's an affidavit saying, hey, I'm not one and the same as this person on execution 2102-00523. I'm just making the number up. But in the event that you're doing a requisition and executions does pop for the vendors, you better requisition it. Or else, if you don't, that requisition execution will run by the lens, because you will see it on your deed, on your registered deed. It says execution numbers. This execution is subject to the property. And I believe it or not, I've seen this. A lot of lawyers make a lot of mistakes because there's a little trick to those executions that if you don't do the proper clicking, trust me, those executions will run with the lands, and then it will cost you more money, because every time you register anything on the TerraView, it's $77.62. So you do not want to be making those mistakes, particularly if you have an execution and you didn't put it properly on a deed, and you would do that on a sale transaction. You would have to pay $77.62 to do an application to delete an execution, which costs, and not only does it cost money, you got to get yourself an acknowledgement and direction, get it prepped up. You need to get an affidavit saying that you're not one and the same, and it's a lot of headaches. That's why in real estate, you need a checklist, because if you don't have a checklist, it could be like a snowball on a mountain. It starts small, and by the time it comes down to the ground, the snowball is massive because of so many mistakes. So going back into my checklist is, okay, so we have executions on purchaser. I like to put clear or not clear. And if there is an execution, you put the execution number. And in my file, I like to put down here in black letters, execution, because by the time you need to register, if you don't have anything to remind you, you will probably miss it. And that's the common mistake the lawyers do, because they're so wrapped up in doing these transactions, because it's the pressure. You have the client calling you, hey, did you close my deal? Or the mortgage broker, hey, did you get mortgage instructions? Are we closing? Did you close? Then you got the real estate agent calling you, hey, did you close? Did you close? You have way too many things on your head with phone calls and emails and faxes that if you don't put a big signage, or you don't have this spreadsheet, you're done like dinner. I'll tell you that much. That's why I click off and I make sure, say, okay, execution's clear. Then I go to my next one. It says requisition sent. So did I send the requisition? And by this agreement of purchase and sale, I have April 15th. So you can send it earlier. Again, I like to send off my requisitions once all conditions have been fulfilled in the agreement of purchase and sale. I said, okay, I requisition sent, and put the date. Requisition sent, I'm going to put here April 1st, 2021. Then my next one is, did you guys get mortgage instructions? And that's when I contact my client. Then I go into my second sheet. Oh, so you guys can see it. Then you have my second sheet, and I say, okay, it's time to contact my client and get all the information that I need. And I usually call them up and say, hi, how are you? I'm the solicitor acting on your purchase. Thank you for choosing me, and I'm here to help you. Let's start by, what is your legal name? And you write it down. My legal name is this. Da, 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 da. I'm going to be sending you an email. it's an introductory email. And while I ask them for their IDs, I like to collect driver's license. And second piece of ID is passport. The reason why, because it will tell me either they're Canadian resident or not. If they're not, then obviously they're non-Canadian resident and they're subject to 25% of above the purchase price that they have to pay because they're not Canadian. That's why I'm a stickler for driver's license and a passport, Canadian passport. That's all I care for. And if you can get a third piece of ID just to double check on their signatures, because some like to not do consistent signatures. In case of fraud, I will show you how you can check driver's license, whether it's legitimate or not. And believe me, I've come through a lot of those. Then you ask your client, hey, what's your date of birth? What's your spousal status according to this sheet? What's your spousal status? Is this your spouse? So if I'm speaking to Jay, hey, is Amina Wally your spouse? Is she your legal spouse? Are you guys legally married? Yes, perfect. Are you a Canadian citizen, permanent resident? Yes. Is this property going to be owner occupied or is it going to be a rental? Now, I can't get into details about that because that can get pretty tricky. If they say it's a rental and you get mortgage instructions that it's telling you, hey, this property is to be owner occupied, then obviously there's a problem. Don't forget that when you get mortgage instructions, not only are you acting on behalf of your client, but you're acting on behalf of the bank. And you cannot be in that type of a conflict. Because if you are, then you could be blacklisted. And you don't want that. Because many banks will not send you mortgage instructions because the solicitor failed to comply with our instructions to him. For example, you're going to register a home, you're going to register a mortgage, that mortgage instructions say, hey, it's owner occupied, but then you register notice of assignment of rent saying that it's a rental. So you're obviously contradicting yourself and you're being deceiving. And you definitely don't want that. So the next question is, are you a first-time home buyer? If you are a first-time home buyer, then you're entitled to the land transfer tax rebate, which is $4,000 for the provincial one. If they're not, that's great. But if they are, you would need to do additional affidavits, and you would have to add a couple of more numbers when you're doing on the tier view. For example, you have to click 9129, that they're first-time home buyers, when are they occupying the property, and so forth. Then you're going to ask them if the property is a detached, is it a semi-detached, is it a condo, townhouse, freehold, what type of property is it? And the reason why you need to do that is you need to ask is because you need to get the prescribed land transfer 5.001, the one that I've told you about, the number that you need on your deed, on the land transfer. Then you would ask, hey, is your basement finished? What is your email? So I can send you an introductory letter. Say I'm going to charge you, I don't know, I think the ongoing rate right now is like $9.95 on a purchase. Configure if it's lower than $1 million purchase price. If it's higher than $1 million or 1.2 or 1.5, you can charge $1,200 plus HST plus disbursements and so forth. One of the things that you need to keep in mind is if when you do this real estate, try to get conveyancer, because each transaction they charge you $25.
Now it's going up 150 or something, I heard.
Really? Well, Unity right now, it's going 125.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous.
That's ridiculous, I know.
You know what they said in the newsletter? It said the reason why we have to charge $150 is because they spent $50 million in order to do that program.
Oh my gosh.
And I'm like,
We need
it's the same as conveyancer. What's the difference?
I know.
What's $50 million? Are you kidding me?
Yeah. So such a.
Anyways,
Waste.
so going back to, you will obtain your client's email, so you can send them an introductory letter, say, hey, thank you for choosing my law office for doing your transaction. I will make it as smooth as possible. First and foremost, I need your IDs, front and back, so we can get, because many times the agreement of purchase and sale does not spell the client's name. And you're definitely going to need to see the ID first in the event that they have a middle name. Because if they have a middle name, you need to do one in the same affidavit. And you have to do that because you need to cover your bases. Again, any slip up you do in real estate, it's subject to litigation. You must think of the worst thing that could happen, the worst case scenario, because because if it does, then yeah, it gets pretty nasty, and you don't want that. Particularly, you do not want to lose any your good standing with the Law Society, Law Pro, and title insurance, because you don't want to be blacklisted. I'll tell you that much. Then you ask for your client's phone number, where can you be reached, and most importantly, you say, okay, how are you guys taking title? And they're going to ask you. A lot of people are not going to know what you mean by that. And there's many different types on how you can take title. But because your spouses on one another, I assume it's going to be joint tenants. But there's also tenants in common. And you explain to them, well, what are the difference? And you say, well, tenants in common is each of one of you takes a share. So let's say I buy a property with my sister and she puts 20% down and I put 80% down. So most definitely I want to be able to show on title that she has 20% of the property and I have 80% of the property. This is what tenants in common are. You go as tenants in common, and if one of you were to pass away, nobody would get their share, meaning that I would have to have a will, because I need to know, I want to make sure, and this is where, again, you can get your client to spend more money with you. So it doesn't always just have to do with real estate. You can say, hey, now that you have a property, do you have a will? Do you have a power of attorney? In the event you get sick, or in the event that you pass away. I mean, look what's going on right now with COVID-19. You need to protect yourself. And this is how you sell yourself to your client. Say, hey, look at the circumstances. If you guys were going into as joint tenants, for example, that means that if one of you dies, one of the spouses die, then the other spouse, by right of survivorship of joint tenants, automatically the house will be transferred to the spouse. Which again, you guys need to be prepared. You now have to know how to do the survivorship application on the registration. You would need a death certificate. You would need an affidavit on all the things that you need to request from the client. So you start teaching your clients and saying, look, if you want to go as joint tenants, and in the event that both of you passed away, God forbid, that does. But believe it or not, I did have a client with both parents passed away, and I had to do a survivorship application by right of representative, where the sister took over, and it was without a will, and it was extremely hard to get through the courts because it would be the next of kin. Long story short, it was a hassle, and I've learned firsthand off on how to do a survivorship application when the two spouses are deceased. And let me tell you the loss statements. That was pretty hard, but that's okay. Lesson learned. I have tons of precedents to share to make things easier, because although we're regulated by the electronic registration guide, which is great to go through the numbers, it doesn't teach you or doesn't tell you the law statements that you need to place. And that comes with, obviously, with experience, which you will obtain. So lastly, here, you're going to ask your clients how you're taking title, because in this particular instance, in the agreement of purchase and sale, we stated that these your purchasers are spouses of one another. Common sense to have that you guys are going to be as joint tenants. However, you can say to your clients, in the event that both of you pass away, you make sure you have a will, so all the proceeds will go to your kids. So that's another way, I guess you can say a sales pitch, you can say to your client. Lastly, you will ask, have you physically been in Canada for 183 days? And this is all stemming again from the prescribed land transfer, the 5.0.1, and it's super important. And the reason why the government is doing this is, I guess, to find out whether or not you are a foreign investor, right? If you're not Canadian citizen. So now that we have, you have your contact with your client, you say, okay, client, I need mortgage instructions. Unless you're going to buy this property in cash, your parents are loaded, or whatever reason, or where am I going to get the instructions? And I said, well, I'm working with my broker, and I think it's going to come with B2B, or it might come with RBC. It might come with those type of banks. Now, if it's RBC, it's fairly straightforward. It can get a little tricky with mortgage instruction when you're dealing with B2B bank. You're dealing with Equitable. Those can get pretty tough, and the reason why is because they use third-party agents, and that's usually FCT, or where they act on behalf of the lender, and they will require quite a bit of documentation you would need. Particularly, they want to make sure that A, this property is owner occupied. B, there's no secondary financing. Third, also they want to make sure that you would have the Tyrion certificate if it's a new builders, which you would need to obtain anyways. But there's other things that they will request from you that you will need to get ready. But usually that comes on the instructions, and you would have to know how to read them accordingly. So going back to my golden key, my Bible, is we have mortgage instructions. So let's say for pretenses, we have mortgage instructions. It's with RBC. Beautiful. Next thing is, did you request for funds? Most importantly is, any given day, if your closing is on the 30th, you need to have 2 to 3 days you request for funds. So this is why I say you need to have a checklist, because you can't remember everything at once. Well, only I can, but then you need to do 15 to 16 years where just, but anyways. So as you're talking to your client and say, hey, by the way, if you're going with RBC, I'm going to need you to get house insurance. But don't say fire insurance, because people are not going to understand. You say, I need house insurance. And because you told me it's RBC, I already know that the binder is going to be 180 Wellington, 3rd floor in Toronto. That's what the binder letter must say. It must show your lender as first loss payee. And A, you're going to ask for full replacement value. And make sure that it has the standard mortgage clause. And you're going to make sure that they give you a binder. And it's a binder. The reason why I say binder, because a binder letter is for 30 days. And then you get your full policy in the house. But you want to make sure that you see RBC, Royal Bank of Canada. Address is 180 Wellington, P.O. Box 1, Toronto, Ontario. Because no bank will give you money if you don't have your binder letter. And that's what I say to clients. Very simple. You want mortgage instructions, sorry?
Yeah, just hold on. Yeah, just hold on. Yeah, go ahead.
And moving along, somebody was snoring.
No, don't worry about it. They have a lot of future. People are sleeping now. They have a very
Fair
good
enough.
future. Don't worry about
Well,
it.
I'm super hyped because I'm passionate about real estate.
We're learning this and we're taking it in. Thank you.
Yeah,
I love real estate.
Yeah, next 10 years,
I can't get enough of real estate, and I get really upset when I see things that should not be happening. So I've come to chill out a little bit, but nevertheless, I know that people have told me that I'm passionate about real estate, and I love real estate. I love everything about it. I could sleep on it all day. But anyways, besides the fact,
That's what makes you a great
Great.
teacher.
Priya, can I ask you a
that's
question?
why I have. Yeah.
It may sound lame, but I just need to ask though. So like you're telling that mortgages from RBC are pretty easy to handle in terms of documentation, right? So
Yeah.
is it possible or is it advisable to kind of tell our clients that, just as a suggestion, you can go for a mortgage from RBC in case you haven't still gotten any instruction from any of the banks, just to make our lives and their lives easier? Is it advisable? What do you think?
Well, it's not. No question is a stupid question. Let's start there.
Yeah.
You brought up a good point. I would love for everybody
I would
to
like-
be with RBC because
TD.
RB or TD. I love TD. I love TD.
There's no-
Right? There's no paperwork basically, but let's be honest. TD, they're looking for like rich people.
I
You know,
know.
you have to have a beacon score of a credit score of 780, like 800, almost perfect.
Yeah.
You got to have like a super high-end job that you've been there for years. You got to have your T4s. You got to have everything in place. You have no debt to be with
Right.
TD. So yes, you can advise them to go to TD, but the likeliness of them getting a TD mortgage is probably the ratio of 3 to 10,
Right.
being honest.
Right.
For example, it all depends. It all depends on your client. So let me give you an example. I had a client where her beacon score was 540. I don't do mortgages, by the way. I would never want to do mortgages. I hate putting mortgages together. Not that I've ever have, but anyways, I don't know how these mortgage
Yeah, that's
brokers
a
do it.
totally
That's a
different
totally
ballgame.
different thing.
Yeah,
I couldn't do it. It's not for me. Never
Mhm.
have, never will.
That's the underwriters and that's
Underwriters,
how they
yeah,
do their own
and they
thing.
need assessments and this and that. Oh, I don't know. I
Once-
don't know how they do it.
Oh, yeah, once you're approved for mortgage, then the file comes to us.
Yeah. So once a mortgage broker is involved,
Yeah.
and
Or the agent.
or the agents, there was a client that, anyways, there was a beacon score of low, so he couldn't get TD. He had to go through B2B, and unfortunately, the solicitor had to charge more money. And why is that? Because when you're going with a B lender, so you have A lenders.
Yeah.
A lenders are number A.
Yeah.
RBC, TD, BMO, Bank of Montreal. Who else is an A lender?
I can always refer
CIBC.
you to private lenders if somebody's facing a problem. I have
Right.
a
Oh,
lot of
that's the
those
C.
lenders.
That's the C. Then you got B lenders
Yeah.
that they will lend money, mortgage money, but their prerequisites are not as high as an A lender, particularly with their credit score, job, the amount of money, the GPS numerical. They're so regulated. I don't even want to get into that. That's a whole different ballgame that you will learn once you get into real estate.
Right.
You will have your own people. So you're going to develop your own real estate agents that you're going to be working with. You're going to have your own mortgage brokers that you're going to be associated with, and they will teach you along the way, just the way I was taught by many mortgage brokers on how to put a mortgage together. Not that I've ever have, because that's just too much for me. But anyways, I just like to know because, like I said,
Yes.
I love real estate. I have a passion for real
We
estate.
can provide those services.
So when you have a B lender
We can
is
provide those services.
home trust, B2B,
Mhm.
equitable.
Conveyancing
Those are B
services.
lenders that require more paperwork. And you kind of like those because you can charge more.
Yeah.
Because you would be more required to do more things. I'll give you an example. One of the instructions that came in last week, it said that the borrower, the solicitor must confirm by way of an affidavit that the borrower does not own properties in these two particular locations. So how does a solicitor do that? Well, obviously you would have to pull a search. You
Right.
pull a search through TerraView, and if you can confirm that they're not one and the same, you would do an affidavit that yes, you pulled a search, and I've complied with the instructions because they're not one and the same. And here you go. You have to submit all that documentation through the portal. If you get it through the portal, hopefully. And then you have private lenders.
Mhm.
And private lenders are, they're a whole animal, different in itself, a whole animal. You can a mortgage through a private lender, and usually interest rates are really high. So for example, when you have a lender that it's A, like RBC, TD, have you seen the interest rates now? I saw one with BMO at 1.67 on a foreclosed fixed rate. This is great news.
Right.
Great news.
Yeah.
1.67. Oh my God, I want to buy 10 properties right now.
Yeah.
This is like great. Greatest thing. It's a great way to improve our economy. But anyways, besides the fact, when you go into B lenders, they usually charge more. You're looking at a rate of 3.67. But that's the whole point, how they make money based on your credit score, how much money you make, and blah, 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 blah. Private lenders, on the other hand, because when you go to private lender, it means you have no job, or your credit, you must have declared bankruptcy at some point in your life,
Yep.
or you have bad credit, or you're self-employed.
So
There's
basically,
many
there's
there's many
flexibility.
variances as to why people turn into private funds,
Yeah.
That's very common.
and it's very common. I always say, now if you have a client that they're going to be doing with private lending, this is where you need to be. And I cannot emphasize more on what I'm about to say. You better protect yourself. You better have affidavits to the yin yang,
Mhm.
because they can come back to you and say,
We never signed those.
well, we never signed those.
We never agreed to those terms. We didn't understand.
Oh
what
my
we were doing.
God, that's
Yeah.
unconscionable fees. Well,
Yeah.
you were my lawyer. Why didn't you tell me?
Yeah.
Why? So you need to protect yourself on a piece of paper. Don't look at this. I'm just making it up, which I have many precedents, by the way, and say, I, the purchaser, hereby blah blah blah, taking a private mortgage because I do not qualify for a conventional mortgage. Why? Because I have bad credit. I'm self-employed. So this is where you need to go into an affidavit and make sure you cover yourself, because the greatest thing, not the greatest thing, is the most important thing about being a lawyer is not only protecting your client, but you got to protect yourself first. You come first.
Exactly.
Because if anything, a lawyer is a target. Hence the reason why I'm not a lawyer. It's because I don't want to be a target. So, sorry. I don't want to be a target. Every time I see a lawyer, I feel like getting an action. Oh, I'm going to get you. I'm going to get you. I'm going to peg you. And why is that? Why? Because you guys have insurance. So
Yes.
everybody's going after the insurance. So people are going to come at you. You've got to see a client, and you got to sit back and say, okay, I'm going to see how you are going to try to, excuse my language, how you're going to try to screw me. And that's the honest truth.
Yeah. Yeah.
And this is where you got to protect yourself, right? So I'll give you another example. On a sale transaction, the property is owned by me. Oh, no. The property is owned by your best friend. And then your best friend says to you, hey, can you give the money, the balance of the sale funds to my best friend? What? No, not doing that.
Mhm.
Because he could come back to you and say, well, you don't have a direction from me
Yeah.
to give the money to my best friend. Who authorized you to give my money to my best friend?
Exactly. Yeah.
And why would you do that anyways? You're stupid.
Yep.
What I would do is this. All right, you want to give the money to your best friend? No problem. I'm going to do the sale transaction. I'm going to give you the money.
Yep.
You're going to give the money from your bank account to your best friend, and either A, she can do you a promissory note, Or you do a contractual agreement that in the event, you know, she's lending you money or you secured a mortgage on her house. So this is where a lawyer needs to think and say, hey, I can make more money out of you. Because let's face it, everybody has a mortgage. Everybody's got to pay their mortgage,
Yeah.
including me.
Yeah.
So this is where a lawyer, or for example, I have a good one for you. Client comes in and says, yeah, I own this house, but it truly belongs to my next door neighbor, who's my best friend.
Mhm.
So I need to come off title. So, and I don't want no money. I want to transfer the property to my best friend. I don't want any money. It's not my property. I just helped her to get her approved with the mortgage. So I just came on title just to help her. I didn't make any money. I don't want any money because she's my best friend.
Yeah.
5 years later, best friend comes back, which they're not best friends anymore. Yeah, I mean the property you had me. Yeah, you owe me 10 grand. What do you mean I owe 10 grand? Yeah. How come I didn't get any money? Where's my money? So if you don't have an independent legal advice, if you don't have a certificate of independent legal advice for that best friend to go to another lawyer other than yourself and get ILA, then they can come back to you. She can come back to you. And now you can say, yeah, listen, miss, I don't know what you're talking about. I think you're going through amnesia. Because I have here a certificate of independent legal advice, which you saw another lawyer. You saw another lawyer that you assign an affidavit that you're transferring the property to your best friend, and you did it as a favor because you were best friends at that time, and you did it for credit purposes to help your best friend with no money in return. Why are you coming back to me? And what's gonna save your yin yang is a paper. It's black and white.
Yeah.
It's a certificate of ILA that it's gonna help you and say, okay, you know what? Because that's what it is. Lawyers are targets nowadays. And you don't want that. Believe me when I say that. Going back to my famous thing, my famous checklist.
We can talk about DRA a little bit.
We'll talk about DRA. DRA is document registration agreement. It's an agreement pursuant to the Law Society rules. It has been amended in 2004 that you can basically read it. But basically it means that we're going into this in good faith. I give you money for funds. You give me documentations. This document will be registered no more than 6:00 p.m. pursuant to the APS. Who's going to hold keys? It talks about that after closing, you guys are going to hand in all original documentation. It's a good faith between lawyers. It's a DRA. You must have it at all times because it pertains to electronic registration documentation. So you need it. Some lawyers, they print this off. I don't know if you guys can see it. They print this off, they execute it, and usually you give this DRA to the other solicitor on the day of requisitions, or you can put in a clause, that's how I like to do. You put in a clause for a requisition, and you say, I hereby agree to be bound by the DRA. If you comply, please send me a response to my requisitions that you agree to abide by the DRA rules. And usually that happens in order to avoid an execution of documents and signatures. Going back again to this, we talked about when you speak to your client, you want to get information on getting mortgage instructions. The most magical words I say to the clients is mortgage instructions. I cannot emphasize how important mortgage instruction is to get. Because if you don't get mortgage instructions, you don't have a file.
Yeah.
You can't move forward. Where are you going to get the money? So then you do that. You request for funds, check, and you put the time that you check your request for funds. Then you're going to ask your clients for home insurance. Make sure you have the binder letter, because like B lenders, they won't release funds without proper fire insurance. Also survey. And that's something that you can go back into the agreement of purchase and sale and make sure you can get a survey. Because if the agreement of purchase and sale states there's a survey for the seller to be provided, you better get that survey, because a survey can cost up to $1,000. Or you can advise your client to go to the city of Brampton, to get a survey or something.
Or title insurance.
Title insurance won't get it.
No, like, if you don't have one, the
Well,
title
if-
insurance covers the.
Yes, title insurance will cover, but try not to put a claim in title insurance, because not only do they have a lot of claims, in the event that there is a claim, it's just like any other insurance. You're not going to be covered after a while if you can, for example, do an accident. What else was I going to say about title insurance? So request for funds, get a survey, and then you have to get your statement of adjustments if you got your statement. Oh, that's what I wanted to say about title insurance. Title insurance covers as well, when it comes to fences, executions within 10 days, property taxes. So let's say that the vendor gives you on a statement of adjustments, and they say that the client paid the whole year, but it turns out to be a lie. You would have to put a title insurance claim. You don't want that. Believe me, it's a hassle, because by the time you have to put a title insurance claim, you have to get the agreement of purchase and sale. You have to get documentations from the vendor on your file. You have to waste time to get this file. It's time consuming, something that can be avoidable just by obtaining a tax certificate. Because then you have to get a claim form from FCT. You have to put all the documents together, and then you have to submit it to FCT, for example. I'm just picking on FCT. Too much time. And in this particular career, time is everything. Time is money. So what do I like to do on a purchase? Get yourself a tax certificate. I don't care. Cost you $60, $85, $90. Those $90 will save you, say, $300 on an hour that you gotta spend to put a title insurance claim. So say you're charging $300 in 1 hour. If you paid $90, which by the way, your client is paying, not you, because that's a part of disbursements, then you're saving yourself time. Why bother? Why relying on title insurance when it's just going to cost you more time? And it's going to be a headache. Because let's not forget, then property taxes raise, and then you got interest. And then your client's going to be pissed off, because your client is not going to know that, hey, the statement of adjustment was created by the vendor solicitor. They're going to think it's you. And right away, they're going to think, hey, my lawyer's incompetent. Yeah, my lawyer screwed up. My lawyer did not pick up the fact that property taxes were not paid.
Yeah.
And trust me, in this business, there's bad, how do I say it? One bad client, one bad mouth travels 5 times faster than good. And let's not forget that we're in a technology where now it's all about reviews. Everything is a review. Everything's a Google review. So if one client puts a review that, no, my solicitor didn't tell me this, I have a title insurance claim now because the other people didn't want to buy the property tax, so they didn't pay, right away, other people are going to see that, and you don't want that. You want to be precise. You want to be on the ball at all material times. And by obtaining a tax certificate is the greatest thing. Now, except for, let's say, City of Toronto,
Yeah.
City of Brampton, Everybody has their own customer number. So guess what? You obtain a customer number. For example, when you're doing your own statement of adjustments, you go into the website, you put the customer number, and you don't need to get a tax certificate. But it doesn't comply with City of Mississauga, City of Barrie, or Newmarket for that matter. But it does, I always check when it comes to the City of Brampton, because you want to be able to check off other people's work, and you cannot make a mistake in a statement of adjustments, because it's something very simple in a statement of adjustments. You have your purchase price, minus your deposit, minus your property taxes, and that's where you have to check that, because many solicitors make mistakes, and trust me, they do. So you want to be able to check your opponent's statement of adjustments, and if they're correct, wonderful. And if it's not correct, you send an email or you send a fax. Further to the above noted matter, please be advised that I have checked your statement of adjustment and it is incorrect. Attached here to is the tax certificate that I have obtained. Please amend your statement of adjustments. When you sign up with your clients, guess what? That's brownie points for you. And say, look at the little piece of paper that the vendor solicitor has given me. It's a wrong statement of adjustments. Oh, I, of course, obtain a tax certificate. And here's a letter that I sent that they made a mistake. So right there and then, your clients know that you're working not only for their own best interest, but you're on the ball. You're there with them. Because don't forget, everything that you do, they will come back to you to refinance or to sell their property. Everybody's doing a lot of selling, right? Our markets have become like a stock market. Today it's a purchaser's market, tomorrow it's a vendor's market. Depends. So this is where I emphasize strongly on a tax certificate in order to avoid a title insurance claim, not because I'm just saying it, but because for time consuming. Think about it. If you're doing about 30 to 40 deals a month, you actually think you're going to have time to put a title insurance claim? No, believe me, you don't. Then we move on to direction regarding funds.
I'm sorry, Priya. Sorry to cut you off. So basically, you're saying that we can kind of bypass the statement of adjustments or title insurance claims with a tax certificate, right?
No. You must always obtain title insurance at all
Right.
material times. I'm strongly suggesting to get title insurance. You must get title insurance. What I'm trying to say to you is try to avoid a claim, because the claim in itself takes a lot of time.
Right.
And when you have 40 or 30 closings a month, you won't have the time. And not to mention the fact that it's the hassle, and then your client gets frustrated, your client gets agitated, and then they might put a bad Google review, and they will not come back to you because they think that you didn't do your job. You didn't do your own due diligence, right?
So basically, you're saying that you get title insurance, that is one thing, but you avoid a title insurance claim, and to avoid that, you make sure that you ask the client to get the tax certificate, right?
Not
But
ask the client, not
you
ask
get
the
it
client.
yourself. You get it yourself.
You get it. For example,
Who pays for that? The client. You said the client will pay for that. And yeah, exactly.
Client pays for it once the deal closes. Once the deal closes, you get yourself paid. It becomes part of a disbursement.
So basically what you are saying is that get the tax certificate, so that will prevent you from a title insurance claim, right?
Say it again.
Get a tax certificate that will prevent a title insurance claim.
Exactly.
But in Brampton,
Exactly.
in the city of Brampton,
They're paid the taxes or not.
You just want to be able to find out if you get a tax certificate, if the statement of adjustments is correct, in order to avoid a title insurance claim, in order to save yourself time. A title insurance claim, from my own experience, takes too long. Takes too long. Your clients get agitated. then there's interest involved, and your clients will not come back. I'm telling you.
Verifying
But-
the statement of adjustments that have been provided by the vendor's lawyer, the seller's lawyer. So you're kind of verifying what's there in the statement of adjustments, if the property taxes have been paid. With the
Yes,
tax.
you can verify it, and I'll show you how. So in a statement of adjustments, you have your purchase price, which is here, 420, minus the deposit here, says 15,000. And then you have the property tax column, which if you were to obtain a property tax certificate, it would tell you in a tax certificate, for example, City of Mississauga, property taxes are $4,000 a year. Vendor has paid $2,000. Then your client is credit the purchaser $300 for the rest of the days. You'll be able to check if the vendor's statement of adjustment is correctly done by this tax certificate.
So basically, if you get the tax certificate, that means everything is okay with the statement of adjustments, right?
Correct.
Basically,
And that
your
means
point
there
five
is no need for a.
pay your taxes.
Yeah, I said that. Sorry?
Yeah.
Okay. And you said that like in the city of Brampton and Toronto, there is no need for this because they
No.
give you a customer number, right? But in
That's
other
right.
cities like Barrie, Mississauga, and all these other places, I mean, you need it because you do not get a customer number, right?
That's right.
Thank you.
Now, what I like to do on my requisitions is I always put in a verb. I say to the other solicitor, I say, please, can you provide me with the tax bill? Because I have a B lender, I have a lender through mortgage instructions that they want the tax bill. This may not always be true, but it's necessary. I always do it just in case that if my client decides to go to a B lender, I already have the tax bill and I can already check if the vendor solicitor's statement of adjustments is correct. Those are a little trick. I just basically gave you guys a little trick on what to do, on how to ask the other side for a tax bill. Some are very nice, some they submit it, some don't. There's some lawyers out there that are not very nice and they won't give you your statement of adjustments until the day of closing.
Yeah.
So by you having, by you obtaining your own tax certificate, you can even make your own statement of adjustments in the event that the seller does not have a lawyer, has not retained a lawyer yet, right? Because if you have your mortgage instructions and you have a certain due date and you don't have your statement of adjustments because the seller does not have a lawyer yet, or the lawyer is someone who's mean, because I can mention a whole bunch of lawyers that are mean, that they don't submit it, or they submit it in the statement of adjustment on the day of closing, and I don't bother. You know what I like to do? I say, okay, you know what? You're going to be like this. You're going to behave this way. Don't worry. I'll get myself a tax certificate. I'm going to do the statement of adjustments. I'm going to fax you to your office, say, hey, you failed to provide me or reply to my requisitions. You didn't submit me statement of adjustments. It's already 2 days to closing. Here's the statement of adjustments. Please advise if this is correct and if you consent to the statement of adjustments. That's what I like to do. In this particular career, you need to be aggressive. I am a very aggressive person.
Who is very aggressive person?
I'm very aggressive.
Look like
Yeah.
the same my style.
Yeah, I'm very
Very-
aggressive.
Yeah, same.
And
same
I'm very
same my
nice.
style.
I'm very
This
nice.
is
for-
this is my style. Way of teaching is my style. Very aggressive while teaching. I was
Well,
thinking.
because if you're not aggressive, you're not going to
Yeah.
get anywhere. So
Yeah.
if I don't have my statement of adjustments, I'm going to be
Aggression.
calling the lawyer, hey, where's my
Yes.
statement of adjustments? By the way, have a nice day. Oh, when am I going to get it? 2 hours? Okay, no problem. I make sure I put it on my calendar. 2 hours, get your statement of adjustments. Oh, babe, by the way, I'm still waiting for a statement of adjustments. And then I send a fax. As per a recent telephone conversation on 11:30 p.m., you have advised me that you will provide me with statement of adjustment within 15 minutes. It has now passed half an hour. I'm still not in receipt of a statement of adjustment. I look forward to your statement of adjustments. Thank you.
What I do is I put like a third request, fourth request, send it out.
No, I know. I don't
No?
put third or fourth request because it looks lousy, doesn't look professional. I like to say, pursuant to our conversation, you have not provided me a statement of adjustments. My client is coming at 2 o'clock, or please see attached my statement of adjustment. It just needs for you to be consented to. If you agree to my statement of adjustments, then we have an agreement.
Yeah, good.
And you move forward. Yeah, well, this career teaches you to be aggressive.
Yeah.
Because if you're not aggressive, people are going to walk all over
See?
you.
2 weeks ago, I taught you. Do you remember?
Huh?
Two weeks ago, I taught you. Very aggressive manner.
No, trust me.
No?
I just try to be nice, because in this type of business, it's not like doctors where doctors protect themselves. You know, one doctor is not going to go into court and say, yeah, because this doctor did not do this operation properly. In this business, in lawyers, they're putting down other lawyers in order for them to get the business.
Yeah.
Right? So right
Do
away,
that.
a lot of lawyers do that and say, why would you want to go for this guy? He has done so many mistakes. Like, no. Unfortunately, we're in this career where it's not like that. People don't play nice. People are not nice. And always just have at the back of your head that you are a target. And you must always make sure that you wear all your protective gear, that in the event somebody tries to play target practice with you, you'll be protected. That's all I'm saying. That's what this whole tutorial is about. It's just for you to avoid possible liability, possible law society complaints from clients, from banks in themselves. Particularly with title insurance. So we'll go back to my sheets. Any more questions? Any questions out there that I have not
Sorry.
answered?
So that means that if you get the tax, the trick you have told us is, the trick is that if you get the tax certificate, that means everything is okay with the statement of adjustment, right? And therefore there will be no title insurance claim at all.
That's right.
Thank you.
Hopefully you can read the tax certificate. You know what I mean? Because then you have two types of tax certificates. You have the interim one,
Yeah.
and then you have the final.
Yes.
Now, because you order a tax certificate and you're not too sure, it happened to me before, specifically when you have a builder's deal and the client sell the property within 6 months on a new build, or a year where the property has not been assessed by MPAC,
Yeah.
then you better make sure you call the city and say, hey, I need a tax certificate where they can tell me how far taxes are to be calculated, because then you definitely need to do a holdback because the property has not been assessed by MPAC.
So what will you do in a regular session?
In a regular session, I will go into far more detail
Of course.
than what I'm
Step
doing
by
now. Step by step, in how to input all this information and conveyancer to review PC law, and how to do the conflict searches, how to obtain the prescribed section 5.0, how to prepare a requisition adequately, how to respond to requisitions, how to read mortgage instructions, how to submit all documentation on e-reg, in all documentation on what you need to cover yourself when you have a mortgage instructions per se.
If anyone is stuck, so you can call and just help her, right? So
Most definitely, I
Yeah.
do have a regular job, guys, from 9 to 5. You
So-
can text me. Because I'm doing closings, sometimes I won't be able to pick up the phone, but if you text me, I can most certainly answer your questions by text. Or after 5 o'clock, you can most definitely call me and I can guide you through things, whatever you need, actually.
Yeah.
Um,
On top of that, so I'm gonna make a good plan with you, right? So I'm gonna make a good plan for you for permanent basis, right? Because my student, they always need your help, right?
okay.
Apart from regular classes, they need your help, right? Some people are sole practitioner, right? So they need your help all the time, right? All the time. So I'm gonna make a schedule with you. So because my wish, you're gonna work with NC Exam Guru on permanent basis, okay? So yeah, so I'm gonna talk to you because a lot of people are going for sole practitioner, right? In the sole practitioner, of course, we're gonna start.
And if they go by sole practitioner, if you guys go by sole practitioner, you won't need a law clerk. You won't need me, for example. You're going to be able to do this on your own and you get all the earnings, right? So instead of you won't have so much overhead per se. So if you guys are going to be your own sole practitioners, you won't need to have the overhead of a legal assistant per se for me, that I get a salary paid. You'll be able to do this on your own, and you need to because you want to be able to first build your own business, have that person-to-person interaction with your client, and once you do get big, and trust me, all real estate lawyers do, then you'll be able to say, okay, you know what, I'm gonna hire, say Priya, or hire someone else, let them do the job, and I'll just supervise them,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, makes sense.
That's what happened. That's all these lawyers, and trust me, I know tons of them, tons of real estate lawyers that they started by themselves, and then they got big. But in order for you to get big, in order for you to run, you must first learn how to walk. You must first know hands-on on how to do a real estate transaction on your own. So in the event that if you do get big or your law clerk is stuck somewhere, you'll be able to provide her with a quick answer. This is what you do. This is how you're going to do it, right? Because if they're stuck, they're going to be coming looking to you. Because at the end of the day, you're the lawyer. It's your name on the line. It's your name on the front door.
And my
Do you
name
have
is
any advice as far as finding a good law clerk might be? Like the way to get to one or something like that?
Yes, I know a lot of legal assistants, law clerks. I know a lot of them that are good. But when you interview a law clerk, and the first question is this: how do you search for part of a lot? And I've done quite a bit of interviews myself.
Yeah.
And the first thing I say, they come to me and they say, yes, because I'm 20 years of experience, 5 years, and I say, oh, beautiful. Can you tell me the difference between and how do you search for a lot as opposed to part of a lot? And what statements do you have to put on the deed? And if they're a good law clerk or legal assistant, is both the same thing, they'll be able to tell you the difference. A, on how to search them, and B, what applicable statements you must put on a transfer on a deed. Now I'm available.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you very much. So basically, if you need some law clerk, so she gonna take an interview. So basically, most likely NCA Exam Guru gonna hire you. Most likely, NCA Exam Guru gonna hire you on permanent basis. If any of my student they need your help, maybe they're gonna call you. You can take the interview whether law clerk is eligible or is qualified or not qualified, right?
Okay.
So we're gonna start very soon, right? Regular classes, most likely next week. In the regular classes, you have to take care of everyone. So guys, did you really enjoy this class? And Miss Amna Rafiq, is right here. Yeah, Amna Rafiq is right here. She's gonna explain so how even how I mean CPDRs, how is gonna work out CPDRs, EDIRs.
Obviously, it's every year you have to, complete some hours.
Yeah.
Substantive, professional.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll
And
explain them.
how to run law office because she is clerk. She will not gonna explain regarding law field, right? Legal advisor, something like that. But basically, right? And you're a lawyer. Amna, please come here. Please. Yes.
I'm so tired.
Yeah.
Hi guys, I'm back here. So basically, when you start a law office, it's not that difficult, but you need to have all your programs, like Conveyancer, PC Law, whatever you choose, whichever software is you choose. I use PC Law. It's very compatible with my, Conveyancer and other programs.
Some people are unhappy with PC law. What was the reason? Some people are unhappy with PC law. Why?
Who is unhappy with PC Law?
If
Two or
they
three
are,
people. It's
if they
very
are
slow.
unhappy, that means they don't know how to use it.
Yes,
Oh,
it's
really?
very convenient. Yes, it's very. Most of the accountants they are familiar with
Yeah.
PC Law.
Oh,
So if you're
accountants.
if you're using a Clear or all those new softwares, it's gonna be hard for you to find an accountant who is familiar with that software, right?
Exactly.
And I don't. So it's better to use something which is like easy and everybody knows about it, how to use and this and that. So yeah, so basically you have to have all your softwares. You need to know where you practice because where I work very close to, just across the street. I have TD, Scotiabank, CIBC. I have all these major banks, so I don't have to worry about going far off places to, do my banking because every day you have to do your banking every single day. So you have to get used to that to make sure that you pick a location where it's convenient for you to, practice, also to bring business and brokers and all those things. Yeah. So that's that. And then, other than that, you need to have a good law clerk for yourself. And you need to know what you're doing.
So,
And
why don't you become a law clerk?
yeah, I am a law clerk too.
So
Part-time
why
law clerk, part-time lawyer.
Yeah, part-time job is a law clerk. Amna, Rafiq, lawyer and law clerk.
Yes.
Two in one.
2 in 1.
No need to. I'm here.
Yeah.
Okay, no, Priya is here.
No
Yeah.
need to.
No need to.
And other than that, I think I wish you all the best. Amir is here.
Amir
He's
is the
always
best.
he's always here to guide you, to teach you, to make it easy for you guys. And then
Tell her you are also my student. Tell them.
yes, there was a time when I used to attend his classes. So he's really good, and he's been helping you guys. So let us know if you want to join in, if you want to take this course. Let Amir know, and then he's gonna, arrange all the meetings and the classes. How we're gonna take this in the future, right?
Right. So basically,
All the
guys,
timings too.
my best advice to you guys, if you really don't want to be sued or lose your license or be reprimanded by the Law Society, and if in the event that you do get a Law Society audit, you want to make sure that you know what you're doing. And this is
Yeah.
exactly what.
And in just first year, you'll be audited right after first year.
Right after first year, you will be audited. And if those
Yeah.
file is not perfect, you will be reprimanded. That's much as I can say to you, that if you
Yes.
don't take this tutorial, I'm not trying to get you guys to do it, but what I'm trying to say is it's a nightmare out there. There's a
Yeah.
lot of fraud with real estate, and if you're not savvy, if you're gonna walk into a forest and you don't have any ammunition with you, you're more than likely gonna get eaten by the wolves. And I'm not exaggerating by any stretch of by any means. I'm
Yeah.
being honest that if you're gonna walk into a forest, this real estate is the actual, it's a jungle out there. And if you don't know what you're doing, you're gonna get sued, or you will be reprimanded by the Law Society, or you might lose your license, or maybe title insurance will not want to do business with you anymore. And I can't stress that anymore. I'm being honest. I've been doing this for such a long time. People say to me, "Well, Priya, you're the queen," or
So if
you know what
okay.
you're doing. Why didn't you become a lawyer? You know what I say to them is, I feel, God forbid if I become a lawyer, because I feel sorry for them. And I truly do. And I'm always helping people. I'm always telling lawyers, hey, watch your back, watch this, watch that, watch this, because if I can't stand it. I've been through enough audits in my life with lawyers assisting them through audits with Law Society, and it is nasty. And I just can't handle it. I'm the type of person that I like to help, I like to teach, or I like to tutor, not teach. And Just for that matter.
If anyone gonna join your class, they need PC law. What they need if they're gonna join your regular
need PC
classes?
law.
They
what
need
they
PC
need?
law.
Yeah, they're the lawyers.
Yeah, they're lawyers. They're going to need PC law either way, either for litigation, family, real estate. They need PC law. It doesn't matter for what for. Because even PC law, you can account your time in minutes, and then you build your client saying, hey, to do your separation agreement, I put in 4 hours. Each hour I charge
Billing,
$300 and you're billing. And I think if we guys get far enough, I'll be able to teach you guys on how to bill on PC law with your transactions. You can save money with a bookkeeper or accountant.
Yeah.
I can teach you how you guys put
Do
them,
you know how to reconcile?
how to reconcile. I don't know.
Yeah,
But-
reconciliations and all those things.
I don't know how to do. I would love to learn.
Yeah.
I'm always.
I have a charter accountant as well.
You do?
Yeah, charter
Damn.
accountant.
He has everything.
Yeah,
He's
yeah.
holy.
His brother's
Holy.
an accountant.
Oh, that's
went to-
amazing.
He has done PhD in law and taxation.
Really?
Yeah, and he's a teacher in York University.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
And they're accountants. I know them.
yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Well, the only thing I know I can teach you is how to bill on a transaction and how to pass it over to
Receipts and all those.
yeah
things.
receipts and how to put the registration and that's it.
And
Also, she's going to teach you how to make statement of accounts and trust ledgers and.
Yeah, I'll teach you how to make statement.
Yeah.
Obviously, statement of accounts.
So within 2 or 3 days, I'm gonna explain each and everything. If you wanna continue this classes, so I'm gonna explain. Just keep in touch with this group, right? So guys, did you really learn out of this class? So very soon, within day or 2 day or 3 days, so I'm gonna explain how it's gonna work out,
Yeah.
right? And
And if anybody who doesn't have software, maybe we can make videos.
we can make
or
a
something
video.
we can share those videos, or you can purchase those videos.
Hey, computer guys, did you really learn out of this class?
Yeah.
Or Priya is good, or Priya is okay, or Priya is less than okay?
No, Priya is great. Thank you, sir. It's a great session.
So only one person is saying Priya is great. No, the rest of the people, they are writing. So at the end, I really would like to appreciate for this great honor to be here for this great class. Thank you very much, guys. And
Thank you, guys.
okay,
you.
thank you, guys. Please have some comments seriously. 2 or 3 people, please come forward and tell them, or you really enjoy, or it was wastage, because today is the. Okay, one last thing. Now you are going for professional life almost. Always make a good intention. Go always do not, honestly, I swear to God, run after your passion. Run after your passion. Run after your passion. Do not run after money. If you run after money, your whole life gonna run after money. Run after your passion, loyal with your
That's how you
client.
sell money, yeah.
First 1 year, first 2 year, hard as much as with
Amrita.
honesty. Honesty
What were you
is
calling me?
very, very, very best policy. Okay, before taking the money, as soon as you're gonna take the money, then okay, again, last one thing, according to my opinion, I'm not Rafiq, this is my opinion. For example, if I'm a lawyer, although I'm not, if I'm lawyer, if I'm gonna take $1,000, if I'm gonna give you service for $1,000, just hand to mouth.
Yeah.
If I'm gonna take $1,000, if I'm gonna give you 2,000 service, $2,000, next $1,000 is your goodwill with good intention. With good intention, always respect to your client. After taking the money, if client gonna give you call, right after that, call him back.
Yeah.
This is your professional responsibility within 24 or you have to call him back. But if not, if you are more professional, right after, never ever compromise with the client. Thank you very much, guys. Feel free to ask me any question at any time. Priya, most likely, she would be part of our NC exam guru, most likely. And we are always ready to help you guys. Thank you.
very much.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye bye.
Thank you, Priya. Thank you, Amir. Amirji.